Next on BGSU Brain Game, it is Pettisville versus Van Wert. I think we better settle in for a sensational synaptic showdown. Only one of these teams can leave victorious. Who is it going to be? Only one way to find out. This quarterfinal match of Brain Game starts right now. And welcome to BGSU's Brain Game. It is Van Wert versus Pettisville. Let's meet our teams. Van Wert, tell us who you are.
I'm Kaylee and I'm a senior. To my right is Cadence, she's a sophomore. To my left is Natalie, she's a senior, and we're coached by Anita Zuber.
All right, welcome to Van Wert, Pettisville. Tell us who you are.
I'm Levi Myers, I'm a junior. To my left is Luke Young, he's a senior. To my right is Heath Weidlich, he's a junior, and we are coached by Miss Rebecca DeRose.
All right, welcome to Pettisville. We start things off as we always do in our toss-up round. In this round, all questions are worth 10 points. No deduction for an incorrect answer, so you can play a little bit looser on your buzzers. You may confer before buzzing in, and you can steal a question in this round. Van Wert, Pettisville, are you ready? Here we go. Although this famous battle did not end the Spanish-American War, it did play a key role. Pettisville, Levi.
Battle of San Juan Hill.
Correct. In a poem by John Greenleaf Whittier, this main character begs for an occupying Confederate general. That would be Pettisville, Heath.
Barbara Freaky.
We will accept that, yes. What do we call a small river or stream merging into a larger? Pettisville, Levi.
Tributary.
It is a tributary. For the first time in the history of the show, 3 contestants in September 2016, that would be Pettisville, Heath.
Jeopardy.
Incorrect. Consecutively spun a $1 on the final spinner, resulting in a 3-way tie and each winning a $1,000 bonus. Identify this game show hosted by Drew Carey.
No, the Price is Right.
Van Wert, Cadence.
The Price is Right.
Correct. Which medical term refers to a condition in which the brain maintains the body temperature at a higher than, that would be Pettisville, Luke.
Flu.
Incorrect. Higher than normal level as a means of fighting off a disease. Van Wert, would you like to steal?
Okay.
That would be Natalie.
A fever?
It is a fever, yes. Cheryl is about to remove or delete all of the files within her computer that she no longer needs. What verb that begins with the letter P designates this action? Pettisville, Luke.
Purge.
Purge, yes. This movement that spread throughout the world in the 1700s focused on the thought that reason and logic could, that would be Van Wert, Natalie.
Enlightenment?
That is indeed the Enlightenment. Odysseus was gone from home for many years while his patient wife waited for him and fought off suitors. What was this patient wife's name? Pettisville, Levi.
Penelope.
It was Penelope, yes. Angelica Schuyler and the Marquis de Lafayette and Aaron Burr are characters in which Van Wert, Cadence.
Hamilton.
Hamilton, yes. Situated along the Nile River, the city of Omdurman boasts the largest population of which African nation? Van Wert, Cadence.
Egypt.
Incorrect. Whose capital is Khartoum? Pettisville, would you like to steal? That would be Luke.
Sudan.
It is the Sudan. Which dread disease witnessed by Robert Louis Stevenson prompted him to write these lines describing a priest? I have seen sights that cannot be told, of old Damien, whose weakness and worse, perhaps, I heard fully. It is also known as Hansen's disease. Pettisville, Levi.
Yellow fever.
Incorrect. Van Wert, would you like to steal? Would be leprosy. They said no, so leprosy is the answer. Which southeastern nation made up of more than 100 ethnic groups was formerly known as Burma? And that would be Pettisville, Levi.
Myanmar.
Myanmar, yes. Sworn in as our nation's top legal counsel in February 2017, Jeff Sessions replaced President Obama's appointee, Loretta Lynch, by what title? That would be Pettisville, Levi.
Attorney General.
They are Attorney Generals, yes. Its official name is the Collegiate Church of St. Peter. Identify the common name of this landmark national church that stands near the Houses of Parliament in London and is home to poet. That would be Pettisville. Levi.
The Protestant church.
Incorrect. Is home to Poets Corner. Van Wert. That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Westminster Abbey.
That is indeed Westminster Abbey, yes. In Raphael's The Madonna and Child, which Jewish itinerant preacher, along with the Virgin Mary and the Christ child, is seated in this pastoral setting? Pettisville. Levi.
John the Baptist.
Yes, John the Baptist. The numbers 24, 25, and 42 can all be expressed as a product of their prime factors. Which mathematical adjective is used to describe numbers such as these? Van Wert. Cadence.
Perfect squares.
Incorrect. Pettisville, would you like to steal? That would be Luke.
Composite.
They are indeed composite. All right, let's take a look at our score. We have Van Wert at 50 and currently in the lead with 100 points is Pettisville. You're going to want to stick around because our head-to-head round is coming up next. And welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. Van Wert 50, Pettisville at 100 points. Both of our teams have elected to stay with their lineup from the last round, so we're going to move immediately to the head-to-head round. In this round, there are 15 questions. Both teams get the same 15 questions. They're worth 10 points apiece. No deduction for an incorrect answer. You may confer before buzzing in, and you can even confer afterwards, but 5-second clock is going to start after you buzz in. You may also pass, but if you pass on a question, we will not return to that question. It's one and done. All right, Pettisville, since you are at 100 points, you will be sticking around. That means Van Wert, bye. You're off to isolation. All right, Pettisville, are you ready for your 15 head-to-head questions?
Yes.
All right, it starts right now. What do we call poetry written in unrhymed iambic pentameter?
Free verse.
Blank, will we accept that? Free verse? We will not. Blank verse is what we need. The S&P 500 is a stock index that measures the stock performance of 500 large companies listed on stock exchanges in the United States. What does S&P stand for?
Pass.
Standard and Poor's. The total value of all goods and services produced in a country in a year is called what?
GDP.
Correct. Oh no, GNP. What name the African American who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993? She wrote Beloved and the Bluest Eye.
Toni Morrison.
Correct. Of the three groups of rocks, the ones formed by erosion and weathering.
Sandstone.
Incorrect. Sedimentary. Non-meat eaters are generally referred to as vegetarians. Name the subgroup of vegetarians which doesn't eat eggs or...
Vegans.
They are vegans, yes. On May 4th, 1970, Ohio National Guardsmen fired into a crowd of students protesting the Vietnam...
Kent State.
Kent State, yes. Ligaments attached bone to bone. Tendons attach what to bone?
Muscle.
Correct. This Russian author is best known for his novel Crime and Punishment.
Dostoevsky.
Correct. Pomp and Circumstances played at nearly every graduation. Who wrote it?
Elgar.
Correct. What is the formula for finding the area of a triangle?
1/2 base times height.
Correct. This author wrote a journal of the plague year, Moll Flanders, and Robinson Crusoe.
Defoe.
Correct. From the Greek word meaning seizure, what disorder of the nervous system is caused by a sudden burst of nerve impulses in the brain?
Fibromyalgia.
Incorrect. Epilepsy. Identify the adverbs in the following sentence. James usually walked...
Oh, sorry. Usually.
Usually and slowly is what we needed there. Who was the first African American woman elected to Congress?
Connor.
Shirley Chisholm. That is all 15 questions in the head-to-head round for you. It is now time for Pettisville to go to isolation. All right, let's bring back in Van Wert. All right, Van Wert, are you ready for your 15 head-to-head questions? starts right now. What do we call poetry written in unrhymed iambic pentameter?
Free verse? I don't know. That's not right.
Free verse.
Incorrect. Blank verse. The S&P 500 is a stock index that measures the stock performance of 500 large companies listed on stock exchanges in the United States. What does S&P stand for?
Supply. No.
Stocks and prices.
Incorrect. Standard & Poor's. The total value of all the goods and services produced in a country in a year is called what?
Gross domestic product.
Gross domestic product.
Incorrect. Gross national product. Name the African American who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993. She wrote Beloved and the Bluest Eye.
Morrison.
Toni Morrison.
Correct. Of the three groups of rocks, the ones formed by erosion and weathering.
Yeah.
Sedimentary.
Correct. Non-meat eaters are generally referred to as vegetarians. Name the subgroup of vegetarians which doesn't eat eggs or dairy products.
Vegans.
They are vegans. May 4th, 1970, Ohio National Guardsmen fired into a crowd of students protesting the...
Kent State University.
Correct. Ligaments attach bone to bone. Tendons attach what to bone?
Muscle.
Correct. This Russian author is best known for his novel Crime and Punishment.
Dostoevsky.
Dostoevsky.
Correct. Pomp and Circumstance is played at nearly every graduation. Who wrote this march?
Sousa.
Sousa.
Incorrect. Elgar. What is the formula for finding the area of a triangle?
Base times height divided by 2.
We will accept that, yes. This author wrote A Journal of the Plague Year, Moll Flanders, and Robinson Crusoe.
Daniel Defoe.
Daniel Defoe.
Correct. From the Greek word meaning seizure, what disorder of the nervous system is caused by a sudden?
Epilepsy.
Correct. Identify the adverbs in the following sentence. James usually walked slowly.
Usually and slowly.
Usually and slowly.
Correct. Who was the first African American woman elected to Congress?
I don't know.
Pass.
Shirley Chisholm. That is all 15 questions in the head-to-head round for you. Van Wert, now it is time to clear our scores. Let's bring back in Pettisville. All right, teams, let's see where we stand. Van Wert has how many points? 150. Pettisville stands at 180 points. A very close competition indeed. You're going to want to stick around because the category round is coming up next, and things can change very, very quickly because there's questions worth up to 30 points apiece. Stay tuned. And welcome back to BGSU's Brain Game. Van Wert at 150 points, Pettisville at 180 points. We're moving right now into our category round where the power shifts a little bit to our teams. There are 6 categories to choose from in this round. Inside each category are questions worth 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 points. But I feel it is my duty to inform you that deductions start now. If you go for 15, that means you're risking 15. You can confer before buzzing in, and you can steal a question in this round. Van Wert, since you were at 150 points, you will get to make the first selection.
Opera for 20.
Opera for 20 points. I will give the name of a famous opera. You provide the composer. Fidelio. Pettisville. Heath.
Beethoven.
That is indeed Beethoven. Pettisville takes control.
Opera for 10.
Opera for 10 points. The Magic Flute. Pettisville. Heath.
Mozart.
That is Mozart, yes. Pettisville in control.
Opera 15.
Opera for 15 now. Carmen. That would be Van Wert. Natalie.
Bizet.
Correct. Van Wert takes back control.
Presidential first for 20.
Presidential firsts for 20 points. Identify the U.S. president to achieve or experience a notable first. No president's name will be used more than once. To be a graduate of West Point. Van Wert. Natalie.
Grant.
Grant, indeed, yes. Van Wert in control.
Presidential first for 15.
Presidential first now for 15 points. First to get married in the White House. That would be Grover Cleveland. Van Wert in control.
Opera for 25.
Opera for 25 points. Aida. Van Wert, Natalie.
Verdi.
That is Verdi, yes. Van Wert in control, and we are tied.
Let's do opera for 30.
Opera for 30 points. Hansel and Gretel. That would be Humperdinck. Van Wert in control.
Presidential first for 10.
Presidential first for 10 points. First to have a PhD. Woodrow Wilson. Van Wert.
Crossword clues for 20.
Crossword clues, Z for 20. I will give you a crossword clue with a number of letters, and first letter, you reply with the correct word. We are looking for 6 letters. Slang term for utter exhaustion. Van Wert, cadence.
Zonked.
Correct. Van Wert in control.
Science for 10.
Science begins with P for 10 points. Identify each of the following science terms that begins with the letter P. The process by which plants use that will be Pettisville. Heath.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. Yes, Pettisville back in control.
Science for 15.
Science for 15 points. Another word for false foot that is used to describe a projection of the cell membrane of unicellular organism that allows it to move. Pettisville. Luke.
Flagella.
Incorrect. Van Wert would like to steal. They're saying no. Pseudopod is what we were looking for there. All right, Pettisville in control.
Science for 20.
Science for 20 points. Anything that produces disease or sickness. Van Wert, cadence.
Pathogen.
Correct. Van Wert in control.
Crossword for 25.
Crossword clues, Z, 25 points. We are looking for 4 letters, the concept of none. Pettisville, Levi.
0.
Correct. Pettisville now in control.
We'll go first aid for 10.
First aid for 10 points. I will describe an element of first aid. You will reply with the name of the element. What do we call a device for stopping blood flow by compressing a limb? Van Wert, cadence.
Tourniquet.
Tourniquet is what we need there. Yes, Van Wert in control.
First aid for 30.
First aid for 30 points. In first aid, what must you do to get the person in a recovery position? Van Wert, cadence.
Lie them down on their back.
Incorrect. Pettisville, would you like to steal? No. They're saying no. Roll the victim onto their side. Van Wert in control. We are tied.
First aid for 25.
First aid for 25 points. A person suffering with anaphylaxis may need an injection of what? That would be Van Wert, cadence.
Epinephrine.
Epinephrine, yes. Van Wert takes the lead in control.
First aid for 20.
First aid for 20 points. The beat of what Bee Gees' 70s disc, that would be Van Wert, cadence.
Staying alive.
Staying alive is what they do it to, yes. Van Wert in control.
First aid for 15.
First aid for 15 points, named after the doctor who developed it. This protocol uses a series of abdominal thrusts. Van Wert, cadence.
Heimlich maneuver.
Correct. Van Wert in control.
President's 25.
Presidential first for 25. To have earned an airplane pilot's license. That would be Dwight Eisenhower. Van Wert in control.
Crossword for 15.
Crossword for 15 points. 6 letters, a device for fastening garments. Van Wert, Natalie.
Zipper.
Correct. Van Wert in control.
Crossword clues, Z for 30.
Crosswords for 30. 6 letters, soft, gentle breeze. Pettisville, Heath. Zephyr. Correct. Pettisville in control.
Egg dishes for 10.
Egg dishes for 10 points. Identify each of the following ways to cook eggs. Can be served over easy. Van Wert, Kaylee.
Boiling.
Incorrect. Pettisville, would you like to steal? Fried. That would be Luke.
Fry.
They are indeed fried. Pettisville in control.
Science for 25.
Science for 25. The process by which organic material is made into stone-like, that would be Pettisville. Luke.
Petrification.
Correct. Pettisville in control, and we're tied.
We'll finish out science.
Finishing science begins with P. The appearance of an organism, its observable characteristics. Pettisville. Luke.
Phenotype.
Correct. Pettisville in control, in the lead.
We'll go egg dishes for 15.
Egg dishes for 15. Cracked into water and simmered. Pettisville. Levi.
Boiled.
Incorrect. Van Wert would like to steal. That would be Natalie.
Poached.
Indeed correct. Poached. Van Wert now in control. We are tied.
Crossword for 10.
Crosswords for 10. 6 letters, 12 constellations, thought to assert control. Natalie.
The Zodiac.
Zodiac, yes. All right, let's take a look at our score. We have Van Wert at 320 points, and just behind is Pettisville at 310 points. Still anybody's game. You're going to want to stick around. The Brainstorm Round is coming up next. And welcome back to BGSU's Brain Game. We told you to settle in for a sensational synaptic showdown, and here we are. Van Wert, 320 points. Pettisville, 310 points. Anybody's game. Both teams have elected to stay with their same lineup for the entire game. We are now moving into the Brainstorm Round. In this round, all questions are worth 20 points. Negative 20 points for an incorrect answer. You may confer before buzzing in, but you cannot steal. I repeat, you cannot steal a question in this round. Anybody's game. Van Wert, Pettisville, are you ready?
Yes.
Brainstorm round starts right now. Which hard, strong, gray or bluish gray alloy of iron with carbon and chromium resists rust and tarnishing much better than most forms of steel? Van Wert, cadence.
Stainless steel.
Correct. Among the U.S. states to ratify the Constitution, which state not only ratified it by the smallest margin, but also ratified it 13th? Pettisville. Luke.
Massachusetts.
Incorrect. Rhode Island. Any rock with a diameter of 10 inches or more should not be called a cobble or pebble, but is given which name that begins with the letter B? That would be Pettisville. Luke.
Boulder.
It is indeed a boulder. At the Yalta Conference during World War II, Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, and which Russian leader were? That would be Pettisville. Luke.
Stalin.
Correct. The big three. He is famous for his paintings of water lilies. Van Wert, cadence.
Monet.
Correct. What greenish fluid that aids in digestion is secreted by the liver and stored? That would be Van Wert, cadence.
Bile.
Correct. What geological era are we currently in? Pettisville. Luke.
Cenozoic.
Correct. What are the two basic types of glands in the human body? Pettisville. Levi.
Excretory and endotory.
Will we accept that? We will not. What occurs when a nucleus is unstable and breaks apart, releasing energy? That would be Pettisville. Luke.
Fission.
Incorrect. Radioactivity. What is the longest nerve in the human body and the source of back pain for many? Pettisville. Luke.
Spinal cord.
Incorrect. Sciatic nerve. No stealing in this round. Mjolnir is a powerful weapon of Norse mythology wielded by Thor. Pettisville. Heath.
That's what I was going to say. Midgard serpent.
Incorrect. A hammer. Who created the literary character Billy Pilgrim? Van Wert. Natalie.
Vonnegut.
Correct. For which American musical based on Romeo and Juliet that would be Pettisville. Heath.
West Side Story.
West Side Story. In geometry, what is the name for any line that passes through two or more? That would be Pettisville. Luke.
Transversal.
Correct. Who wrote I Know Why the Caged? Van Wert. Natalie.
Maya Angelou.
Correct. What award is presented to the best children's picture book each year? Van Wert. Kaylee.
Pulitzer Prize.
Incorrect. Caldecott Award. If a star has insufficient mass to become a black hole when it collapses, Pettisville. Luke.
Neutron star.
It becomes a neutron star, yes. Greek god of the forge and fire. Van Wert. Cadence.
Hephaestus.
Correct. She was in Kenya at Treetops Hotel. That was end of round, no time for that. Let's take a look at our score. We have Pettisville at 330 points, and our winner with 420 points is Van Wert. Let's give both of these teams a big round of applause. Now, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, let's meet in the middle, shake hands, and we will see you at the next BGSU Brain Game.